Don't we look alike?
Really?
I rest my case.
Oh, okay. All right, the Nation newspaper this morning. Ella is ready to block your suitors. Just trust me when I say that your suitors are blocked.
Completely blocked.
Blocked.
They will look
The
next door.
Nation newspaper, government petrol subsidy stays. Excuse me. Policy ill-timed, says Finance Minister. Lawan urges Labour to shelve the protest. Now, at a meeting organized by the President of the Senate, Senator Ahmed Lawan, yesterday, we had the Finance Minister, Zainab Ahmed, we had the Minister of State for Petroleum, Timi Silva, and some other stakeholders meeting to talk about, in fact, hash it out on the issue of petrol subsidy. Remember that Labour had said they were going on strike. But this came and suddenly fuel subsidy, of course we were aware that the subsidy had been made, provisions had been made in the 2022 budget for subsidy till last to June, after which they were going to remove it. But now they said additional arrangements.
Well, for me, it's a policy somersault because retaining subsidy is not in the spirit of the PIA.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Now, unfortunately, Nigerians will not surrender their legitimacy and power to any government that is going to make their welfare a non-issue.
Okay.
We own crude oil. It is the failure of governance to ensure that the refineries are working that brought about all this subsidy and the attendant corruption that came with it.
Okay.
Whether government likes it or not, we will not tolerate removal of subsidy. It's a global thing. America subsidizes food, agriculture, so also other countries. So ours can be different. We are not asking for too much. Government should be about the people, not about statistics and figures. It should be about our well-being. We're not getting anything near what we deserve as Nigerians. Because we have a situation whereby the water source in your house is your borehole, you pay your security, you buy generator, which of course you have to fuel very painfully too. Your children go to private school, you go to private school for medical. I mean, so this is a natural gift of Nigerians.
So what do we do about the fact that a lot of people do believe that fuel subsidy is enriching the purse of?
It is not a lie. It is true and completely true. But the point remains that while pretentiously government says it will clean up its game, the cleanup they can do is to get refineries to work. And if they will not work, let them encourage private investors to set up modular refineries. It could be, okay, like I may choose to service only Ikeja, as a local government area. That should be possible. Or service Lagos as a state, or the Southwest as a region. We all don't have to go and build the humongous stuff that Dangote is putting up. No.
So modular refineries.
The same way we have radio stations that serve communities. They call it community radio.
Yes. Like we had in the news, was it last week that some boys were caught operating and
illegal stations. I missed out on that.
Yes.
So we should begin to think in that regard. And for petroleum production, for products, there are what they call illegal refineries in the creeks, in the Niger Delta area.
Yes.
Instead of throwing away the baby and the bathwater, why not look into what they are doing? Gather them, see how you can work with them, perfect their game. Because the stuff that they produce, they are consumed by the people. I mean, we can no longer afford this grandstanding, especially when we're talking of a presidency that promised us one refinery per year.
So what happens?
So 7 years after,
what happens to regulation if federal government decides to go to tow that lane and everybody we can have our small refineries? What happens to regulation of the price?
When you say price regulation, it pains. Why? Because we still attach ourselves to America, to Britain, and all of that. We don't have to. the Human Development Index and then purchasing power parity, okay, it's not on the same level with them.
Okay.
It's not the same thing.
So are you for
we must devise our own local price mechanism system.
Okay.
We cannot continue to say, oh, they buy, so let them buy the fuel for 2,000 naira. That's their problem. We own the fuel. I told you before we came on there that the simplest way to look at this thing is to see Nigeria as a farmer that has cassava in his farm. They've been able to process the cassava to gari,
yes,
and they want to eat eba. They have no stove to get hot water. If they have to give you, for instance, a kilo of gari to help them translate to eba, you will give them half a kilo back, right? Yeah, you have to be paid. So they will not be fighting over the half a kilo.
We're talking about trade by barter now.
No,
that's what it is. They take the crude outside for you to produce it for them.
Yeah,
yes, I
see,
give
the half a kilo there may be financial payment or barter, as we call it. But then something will have gone
there will be
across
a
value
change.
exchange.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if the farmer has sense, all he needs to do is to go and get a stove. End of story. So the stove here is the refinery.
I'll get you.
We are begging the issues, and it's been here over the years. It paid me when I read about NNPC and people, the amount of money that are going to servicing NNPC. You know what they've been doing? Collecting rents. Everywhere you go, you see OML Kiniko operated by joint venture. They don't even know what goes out of the soil, the ground. Those guys, they drill the oil, they report to them. They explore, they report to them. And we have that humongous rent collector organization that we call NNPC. We should be ashamed of ourselves.
We'll have you back to build 3.6 billion naira smart schools in 6 zones. The 6 information, communication, and telecommunication schools are to be built by UBEC at a cost of 3.6 billion naira. And this was according to the Executive Secretary, Dr. Hamid Boboyi, who spoke in Jigawa State. We're building.
Do you think?
ICT.
Do you think we are ripe for this?
Osho State already has a Minister for
Is it
Interior.
working?
The Minister for Interior inaugurated.
Is it working?
Go back just there. Last week. It was just last week.
Okay.
You know,
inaugurated.
I don't understand, and it pains.
These things, we just have to be practical about it.
We take away our reality and begin to do fancy things. We're talking of a country where a private school owner kidnapped, collected ransom, and murdered
the baby,
a 5-year-old girl. And what brought all these much-room private schools? Inadequate number of public schools. Okay?
Good
Unfortunately,
public schools.
they were allowed to run the race without proper inspection, okay, and monitoring.
I think it's more monitoring. I think they do the inspection,
the inspection they do
and then
is to go and collect keske. Excuse me.
They are the ones saying
people who have no business coming near education at all are now school owners. They own nursery, primary, secondary school. Maybe soon they go to establish universities. I mean, these are not right. So why don't just put those things in place first before talking about smart school where you don't even have electricity?
That's it.
We have not solved our last.
That's why I said, do you think we
still have problems?
For that?
But you know, the one that really amazes me about this is the fact that despite the fact that there are 6 smart schools to be sited in 6 zones, which is just 1 school per zone.
In a zone.
How do you choose the pupils who go to this schools?
They should be smart.
But you know that UBEC is supposed to give free education. So is this going to be the creme de la creme kind of selection? Or is there going to be a special examination? No, but the truth is, when you have just 6 in 6 zones, it means in the whole of the Southwest, there's going to be 1. South, there's going to be 1. So how do you select the pupils who will go to the schools?
Honestly, we are just building
Isn't it just better to use 3.6 million?
If you ask me, we are just building castles in the sky.
Yeah. This is 3.6 billion naira that can be used to revive. Have you seen the walls of our public schools?
You just heard what I said.
Have you seen our schools that don't have chairs?
You just heard what I said.
Existing schools, though.
Some don't have roof.
Some don't have roof. And they are not in the village. We have some in Akute here.
No, you guys are going to the extreme. Talk about the biros and the big notes that people use.
Should normally be given.
The height of
say their parents
poverty
should buy
in
for them.
Nigeria, some parents cannot afford a pencil
for their pupils,
for their children. It's as bad as that. Trust me on that.
For me,
so what are we talking about?
This is an ill-conceived project, considering the fact that till date we are still battling with the last mile of internet delivery, i.e., from the base station to your device.
That's it. I was just saying yesterday that I was on a journey and I could not use the Google map because of the fact that I know that the internet is going to fluctuate, and I do not want to be, caught in the middle of all of it.
We still have downtime with all of that, and you are now saying you are anchoring in school on the same faulty system.
Let's talk about this once, the murder of 5-year-old Hanifa. And the government seems to be reacting with quick sanctions. Government revokes private schools' licenses, and the school was burnt. The subject has been arraigned.
That's Kano State government.
Yes. Now, the Kano State government yesterday revoked the certificate of operation of all private schools in the state for revalidation. Commissioner for Education, Mohammed Sanusi Kiro, disclosed this to reporters. This followed the murder of Hanifa Abubakar, a 5-year-old pupil of Noble Kids Comprehensive College, allegedly killed by the proprietor of the school. Did you listen to the man's confession?
I listened to him on BBC.
His confession is so nauseating, so
provocative.
So provocative. I mean, as a parent,
oh my God,
the man said things like he apologized. I'm not joking.
Wait.
He apologized for killing the child.
And then he was trying to tell us that he didn't kill him for ritual reasons, and that he had to bury him inside the school, because he didn't consider any other place safe for his cause. Who does that?
So why did he?
In the first place, he said he had crisis.
He has financial crisis. And so he decided to
he actually got the 6 million naira. So why did he kill her?
No, he said along the line, the girl identified him as uncle, and that he knew. I mean, it was a long narration, senseless narration, because people already suspected him.
So he got the money.
Okay.
And then he killed the girl.
He had collaborators who tried to kidnap that girl but didn't succeed. He had to personally go there and get the girl out of the Islamia school, the Quranic school, and from there took the girl to his house and sold a cock and bull story to the daft woman that he called wife, and that one believed. And they were keeping that girl until they got the money. Now, getting the money, they were looking for a way to dispose of the girl. But because the entire state had been locked down, so it was not possible to move her outside of Kano City, talk more of Kano State. And the next thing that occurred to the madman was to feed that girl with a rat poison. When I first saw the photograph, I was admiring that girl. I was like, oh wow, why didn't you come up before I became so old? You know, I was just, but when I read the story, I was like, what nonsense is this? It drew my tears. Such a beautiful young girl.
He got 100,000.
I mean,
from the parents. The mother was saying that she even appealed that the 5 million naira it was asking for was too much. 6 million was too much. The mother was talking and she said she kept.
It wasn't like if they had the money, but they had to do everything possible to meet him. And meet his man.
The governor.
But you see, the governor now shutting down the entire school. For me, it's a fire brigade approach.
It's even
throwing away the baby out with the bad water. For crying out loud, it's a reflection of the failure of the monitoring system
of all our schools.
Not just in Kano State. I said it here in the city of aquatic splendor. We also have schools that have no business
running. We had a school in Itafaji at Itafaji the other day. Remember? That was on the 3rd floor of a building that was like this.
Oh, okay.
Then there was a classroom.
It was a school
where rain was falling and the
And
kids
the pupils were there.
sitting.
There is a school just at our backyard, very close by, that the entire frontage of the school is a gully. I mean, a gully that can swallow a car. And it's just by the fence of the school. And nothing has been done. That's Ogun State. It's just by our backyard. And I'm talking about the boundary between Lagos and Ogun, just close to us.
You know,
There is a school that is flooded, and during the flood, the children stay under tree. It's just here. We're not talking about something that is far
away.
So let's not forget, let's not start talking about the Almajiri children, or let's talk about the out of school children.
That's another
That is
level.
already a complex issue that we're dealing with.
Yeah, it's a
We
time
now
bomb.
shut down all the private schools.
I mean, for me, it's not acceptable. He didn't have to do all of that. Okay? People naturally were bound to protest. Because see, what we have seen now in Nigeria is that schools have become dangerous places. Children are kidnapped from schools.
Yeah.
Some are killed, some are murdered, and so on and so forth. Now, this, a school proprietor had the mindset of kidnapping a pupil.
To pay salaries of teachers. So.
Which teachers? So you can see the
entire narration of the story is too
the mercantile orientation of the man. He wasn't in that business to offer services, but to make money.
Yeah.
And because he wasn't making the money the right way, he felt he should cut corners. And in cutting corners, no life was too sacred.
For him.
That, I mean, any life could be wasted. And he did that. So and I'm glad that the government said that if he's adjudged guilty, that he will sign his death warrant. But beyond that, I give close to Kano State youth for setting that school ablaze.
No, we don't. I'm
not encouraging vandalism. Excuse me. But at the same time, knowing this country, if that man has some good connections, the school will go back into operation.
No, but two wrongs definitely will not be
absolutely.
Right. The governor has made a pronouncement.
No,
because we have to say the right things on national TV. You know, the government has made a pronouncement. The case already in court, and Nigerians are watching. And I want to believe that we should, allow the law to take its course.
Excuse me.
We can start from somewhere. We can start from
the pronouncement. The governor was slow in responding. The story was all over the place.
By the measure.
Yes, people have to react.
By the measure of
we cannot. This is democracy, not military rule, where you can shout people down and say, no, you can't.
It is quite interesting.
You can beat a man. But how much crying the man should do is after reporting.
Instead of raising the school down, there are ways you can do your protest. There are ways we
can even shut down the school.
Here in Lagos,
all over the world.
We are aware about Dowen's College, issue and the case and all of that. I know that on the resumption day, people from Niger Delta, they went there and they said the school will not open.
Unfortunately, in the case you mentioned, a life was also lost.
That's what I'm saying.
You will need to know how much efforts went into keeping that place the way it is.
That's it.
It's not a local issue. Let me tell you, we must be careful what we throw out to people. When you think in your corner, you can be smart. It's the case of the hotel in Ife, where somebody took residence and then overnight he was killed. Elsewhere,
and then it was buried.
They will have raised the hotel. It's not a plus that people do these things and they think they can grandstand. Remember, before the man was arrested, while he was even arrested, he had the effrontery to release a video exonerating himself and his wife.
And his kids.
What do they think they are doing?
And they said his son was actually involved in
what do they think they are doing?
Of that
by the time the CCTV was released,
to the footage.
Yeah, by the time it was released and said 3 of them went in at night, murdered that guy, brought his body out, put it in, wrapped him with a blanket of the hotel, put him in the boot of the car, and then drove off.
You see, it's so much of these things, when these issues happen, it is natural for people to react.
They will vent their anger.
What we would try to ask Nigerians to do usually is, in your process of reacting, don't be destructive.
Exactly.
Don't be
My
destructive.
point, exactly.
Don't be destructive. You can react.
You can make your point.
For example, there was a video trending on social media yesterday of somebody who wanted to kidnap somebody and all that, and it was caught, and people wanted to burn him down. And somebody was doing the video. There was also another one of people saying that the road safety officials in a particular part of the state of the Niger Delta misbehaved, and then they wanted to kill all.
Let me.
road safety
I
officials.
witnessed one. There's a place called Ile-Ogbo in Osun State.
Yeah, I know the place.
These road safety call guys, they pursued a vehicle from outskirts of Ibadan to Ile-Ogbo. In the first place,
as they were leaving,
it's a federal agency. It's a federal agency, but I think they have crossed state borders.
Yes.
I don't know what offense the guys committed that warranted pursuing them to Ile-Ogbo or getting there. The use of Ile-Ogbo disturbed him. It was a traffic infraction. Was that why you put the entire road users, their lives at risk, because you must apprehend that one vehicle? Was that why your own lives too were put needlessly at risk? Was that why the lives of the people in that vehicle too? And then they pounced on them. We should be mindful when we say we have any authority or position. You be mindful of how people will react to what you are doing. You just can't begin to do and misbehave and think in the name of decency. No, public anger, don't know decency. We should not call. I was in university during the Ali must go era. You probably wouldn't know all the stories. It took the entire Nigerian students to protest before things could be corrected.
This is the proprietor of that school, the suspect in the death, in the murder of Hanifa, and Sanusi Kiru, the Commissioner for Education, is set to take action today. But let's quickly listen to this man. I wonder, Yinkakenny said she hasn't heard the story.
Wannan bawan Allah da yake nan bayana da kuma wata wai ita Fatima wanda na kawo musu tunanin cewar su zo su dauko wannan yarinya da nufin cewar mahaifiyarta ce ta ce dauke ta za ta nemi kuɗi a wurin mahaifinta. Wannan ƙarya ne musu kenan. Suka aminta da hakan suka je kokarin daukanta ba su kai ga nasara ba don ba ta yarda ta bi su ba. A keke napep kenan. Daga baya da naga abun ba zai yiwu ba sai ni na je na dauke ta a keke napep din. Bayan ta daga Islamiyya. Idan aka kai ta na kawo ta gidana ne.
Still talking about fuel and fuel subsidy. Labour said for protest. Federal government suspends subsidy removal. NBA warns government. No going back on protest. We observe deceit in new twist, says Labour. Removal suicidal now. Federal government's action political for 2023 elections. That's coming from NBA. And subsidy removal timing wrong, says Minister Lawan begs unions. Well, back and forth, back and forth. What do you think? Do you think there is still a need for protest?
It was a political drama.
But do you think
the rug has been pulled from under the feet of
but TUC, I think TUC
there is no
is
listen, what are you protesting now?
Okay.
They said they will remove subsidy. You came out and said no, don't, you can't. Government has now said okay, we are no longer. I mean, why would you not go and protest?
Okay, maybe to tell them that in case you change your mind again.
Please, I mean, the world is looking at us. We are in a global village, whereby every small little thing you do in your corner is beamed out to the world.
It's
a joke. They should stop that drama.
Okay.
Go and get busy.
And we have the picture story. Coalition storms PDP. APC Secretariat demands Southern President. Okay. Wait till 2027. Dr. Sitel Southeast sells Atiku for 2023 presidency.
Can we just
sorry, I'm contesting now, and I'm going to declare. I'm looking for a VP.
You want to declare this?
I will need a VP.
Man jailed for 0.6 million naira mistakenly paid to his account spare parts dealer for internet fraud. But wait, this thing.
You know what happened?
Wait.
It's just 600,000 naira.
wait, 0.6 million. Let's say 0.6 million.
It's 600,000 naira. Don't stop all these things that you people are doing.
0.6
Don't we
million.
know 0.6 million is
But
600,000?
You all know say 600,000. When you say when you hear a million.
That's 600K.
But was it his fault?
No,
That they paid money, maybe it's
excuse me.
Was it his
Hello.
fault? It could be a miracle.
Hello.
Well, it's true. You could attend one of those churches where they say, raise your phone. Raise your phone. Alert. Maybe that was what happened to me.
Let's get very serious. It's a reflection of the moral fiber that man was managing. You see, I always tell people that it takes a little for people to shift from being the good man to becoming the criminal. He probably had challenges, okay, and needed money. So
And that money came in.
immediately the alert came, no minding that he wasn't expecting the money. He didn't sell anything to anybody, whereby payment was being effected. But because of this, the moral fiber was very weak. The man went on to spend the money.
But
Anyway,
but
it's
Tomisin,
been there.
I might not have. Okay, let's assume
I
that
read the story.
I am someone that has so much in my account, and I might not be following the transaction
numbers.
and
They won't,
everything.
don't worry, they won't
So,
report you.
I could have been.
Don't worry, they won't report you.
They won't-
If you
they
have
won't
so
tell
much-
me. Let me give you. I won't call the name because it is deceased now. I'm telling you a first-hand information that he said, and he said, I won't call his name on air. He said that there was a period he had to, carry out a contract, and 17 million was mistakenly paid into his account. He didn't have money for the job, blah and blah and blah and blah. And 17 million, during the midnight, he was actually praying. I'm serious. It's not a fiction now. He was actually praying, and the Holy Spirit said to him to check his phone, and he saw the alert, 17 million. In the morning, he went to the bank. He withdrew. He said initially he withdrew 300,000 naira. He looked all around.
He was testing the water.
Yeah, he was testing the water. He said then he did a bank draft of 13 million naira. He carried out his, everything, and about a month later, fortunately, the money was paid. And the bank manager called to say, hello, Mr. Blah, 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 blah. I'm really sorry, with apologies, that blah and blah and blah was paid into your account mistakenly last month by blah and blah and blah and blah. He said, okay, I don't have time now. I will come do the necessary things because fortunately the money has been paid back. But now talk to me. If before he got paid for the job he did, it was discovered, do you think they will have made noise about that? No.
Excuse
they
me.
would sit on a round table to settle it.
Let me deal
and
with the
consider-
case you brought. The man had expectation.
Expectations,
Right.
yes.
He will have documents to show for it.
Yes, definitely.
So if before payment was effected, he was called upon or arrested,
To make that payment.
he had an alibi. But here is Oladeinde Ariyo. I didn't sell nothing. I'm not expecting. I don't have any performance invoice with me or with anybody. And suddenly, voila,
Money entered my account.
and I called Tomisin. Let's go and have breakfast in Sheraton.
No, but
Excuse me.
but honestly,
This man, before I got to this point, they must have called him, had one-on-one conversation with him. They wouldn't have approached him with a fighter's spirit.
Very true.
They would have appealed to him. But people now say, God, what is it? I for.
Only as
There's a moral issue in all of this. If because of who I am anyway, if I find 1,000 naira excess in my account, I will call Femi, my account officer. Bros, is it your birthday or is first bank? I will call them and find, because you should always know.
yes,
You
that's the right thing to do.
They with free money, and you're talking about the church that said they're giving them a lot.
No, it's not like they're giving them a lot.
No,
you know now, we're public people.
you can be sure I won't visit you if you
Villagers
get detained.
flee as Ogun Monarch, 3 others burnt to death.
Very sorry.
Very sad.
That's
Yes.
another
Over
side.
a chieftaincy row.
I don't want to believe that.
It's really.
There's a lot of complications around that story.
They said over a chieftaincy.
You know, it's always in some parts of this country, the chieftaincy,
And they're talking about Alagodo
title
of Agodo.
It's in Ogun State here.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Local
Chieftaincy
government
title
area.
is always most of the times like war, even between siblings.
God.
Between siblings, it's so sad to know how bad.
The
I
man just
have been a part
participated
of,
in the convocation just last week.
I've been a part of
Oh my God.
appeasing a sitting Oba to pardon a first class Oba to pardon his younger brother who contested
Against them.
the throne with him.
The throne,
Uh-huh.
it happens.
Several years after, they were still not on talking terms. And the other guy was still treated as a fugitive. And I'm like, be graceful in victory. You've gotten the crown.
Throne.
I mean, as they say in Yoruba,
It's really sad.
èèyàn méjì
All
ní
right.
dọ́ba,
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
Yeah.
èèyàn méjì ní dọ́ba, ìkan yóò jọba,
Yeah.
ìkan yóò jẹ gbèsè.
Yeah, yeah.
You know
Jam
what that
announces.
says is two people can contest for an obaship, a royal stool.
Yeah.
While one will win the crown, the other
other
will
one
end up
will
in a debtor.
debt.
Yeah.
If he has gone to borrow money to fight for his cause.
Yeah.
All right, JAMB announces 2022 UTME registration, rejects repentance, cheats apology. Businessman filling station attendant shot dead as gunmen storm Ondo community. Fan cakes as customs controller breaches airport security, seizes gate forcefully. And above the nameplate we have auto gas, federal government to